So let's talk about what it really costs to seek out a genuine divine encounter. We're going to dive into one person's incredible story, and let me tell you, the journey is way more intense than you probably imagine. This quote right here, this is the whole framework for the story. It sets up a really stark choice, doesn't it? You can either wait around for spiritual knowledge to just happen to you, or you can make a conscious decision to go out and pursue it yourself.
And that's the million-dollar question, right? If you decide to take that active path, what does that even look like? Well, we're about to follow one man's pretty dramatic answer to that exact question.
All right, so where does this all begin? Well, it's not in some ancient monastery or a quiet church. Nope. It all kicks off at a national youth service camp of all places.
The speaker was absolutely determined to find God, but his quest started in a really unexpected way. See, his meal ticket got stolen at this camp, and instead of getting upset, he took it as a sign from God to start fasting, right then and there. It wasn't planned out, it was just an immediate response. Now, this intense discipline he undertook, it wasn't just some endurance test, you know? It was an education. It was teaching him that to even communicate in the spiritual realm, he had to learn a completely new language. And that language was sacrifice.
The very first word in this new language was consecration. And this isn't just about giving stuff up. It's about intentionally setting yourself apart, creating this exclusive space in your life where you can be, as the source puts it, totally saturated by the divine.
And that leads to this absolutely core idea. In this way of thinking, convenience just doesn't get you anywhere. The one thing that gets attention in the spiritual world, the main way to communicate, is sacrifice.
So how do you actually speak this language? Well, the source describes it as building a kind of spiritual altar. It's really a two-step deal. First, you make a specific vow, a commitment. And second, you follow through on it with consistent, repeated sacrifice. Prayer, fasting, giving, whatever it is, consistency is everything.
And all this practice led to a huge shift in his whole perspective. He realized he wasn't trying to convince a friend with his emotions. No, he was requesting an audience with a king, a sovereign king who works on his own divine schedule and sets his own appointments.
And believe me, this king's schedule cannot be rushed. Just look at this timeline. The fast starts on day 1, but it wasn't until day 187 that he got just a simple acknowledgement. I can see that you are praying. That was it. Just a little nod to keep going, because the actual appointment, that was scheduled for day 264.
So after nearly 9 months of this unwavering sacrifice, that appointment finally arrived, and it led to a direct, face-to-face encounter with angels. The day, 264 days of waiting, of praying, of fasting, it all came down to this moment.
He was just getting ready to pray, literally about to take off his suit and tie, nothing special. And then, bam, the encounter began. And it wasn't some gentle, subtle feeling. He says he was, quote, arrested by 4 angels.
And this just shows you the sheer power of what was happening. One of the angels actually revealed itself to him, but only after it paralyzed him from the waist down. Why? Because the sight was so overwhelming, his first instinct would have been to just run away.
The whole encounter was completely silent. It lasted for hours, all the way until 3 in the morning. But the results? They were immediate and just profound. His severe, lifelong stammer? Gone. Instantly. Then just 4 days later, in the middle of a church service, he has this wide-open vision of heaven that lasts for 45 minutes straight.
Now you'd think that's it, right? Mission accomplished. But for him, that incredible encounter was just a starting point. It actually created a deeper hunger, a desire to go beyond the miracles and seek the King himself.
So for the next 5 years, he had this incredible ministry filled with signs and wonders. But after all that time, he had a realization. The miracles, the power, even the angelic visits, that wasn't his original goal. He had received a lot of gifts, but he had set out to find the giver.
And you can really see the evolution of his quest here. It started out seeking power and miracles, signs and wonders, but it matured into something deeper, seeking the King himself. He no longer just wanted gifts from God, he wanted the presence of God.
This new, deeper search led him all the way to a beach in Tanzania. He started praying for very specific things: power to heal autism, power to raise the dead, and Jesus actually appeared to him. But instead of just granting the request, he gave him a command: give a very specific, sacrificial amount of money to a certain pastor. The miracle would follow as a sign that his prayer was heard.
And this whole cycle of sacrifice leading to encounter, it reveals the ultimate lesson of his entire journey. It's about understanding the true price of what he calls spiritual accuracy.
And here it is, the core takeaway. According to the source, staying spiritually aligned or accurate isn't something you achieve once. It's this continuous process of dealing directly with God. And that process, he says, will always be a game of sacrifice.
When you look at this whole journey, from a stolen meal ticket all the way to visions of heaven, it seems to suggest that an audience with the divine isn't really a matter of convenience, but of covenant. Which leaves all of us with a pretty big question to think about. What does it truly take to stand before the King?